And we're live. How's it going, guys? Straight off the bat, I'm going to say Rach is having some technical difficulties. So at the moment, there is only 3 of us. Hopefully, she'll be able to join us. But in the meantime, it is just me and my next guest, who I'm going to bring in now, who's staring at his phone. And that is the Retro Chef. How you doing, mate?
Hi. I've got an ice cream, a cornetto.
I tell you, I could go for one of them right now. I've got to be honest.
Oh, you know what it was? I was like, oh, well, let me get a sneaky little thing before we start. And also we were talking. I was like, oh, fuck, I ain't finished it yet.
Yeah. Never mind. Don't worry.
Good, bruv?
Yeah, I'm good. I was just saying, I'm hoping that Rach is going to be able to sort out the issues.
She's just powdering her nose, mate. Don't worry. She'll be on.
Yeah, that's what it is. Women are always late, aren't they? Women are always
late, mate. They're always late.
Right, shall we get our next guest in, shall we? Yep. Now, this man needs no introduction. You all know who he is. His channel's onaretrotip, and that is Pete.
Hello. How's it going, Pete? I'm well. You?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm loving that background. Like, Boba Fett mask, Stormtrooper. Love
cheers.
It.
Yeah, got to love a bit of Star Wars, haven't you?
Are they the Black Series ones, them? Or...
Yeah.
They are. They're quite pricey, aren't they, them ones?
They are. They're like around... I think I got really good deals on those. They're around like 100 quid, I think, when they came out. 120 maybe. But there are some other ones that are like hundreds and hundreds. Like, you can go mental on them, can't you?
Yeah, I think some of the Clone Trooper ones are quite expensive, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, let's see if I can change this layout. Because I don't like it like that. That's better, isn't it? That looks much better.
honour of you, Lee, I've got Desirano and Coke on a school night.
That's what I've got. I've got it in my Hobgoblin tankard. My sister bought me this like years back. So cheers. The only problem it is, though, trying to work out how much like Desirano to put in it for the Coke, because the bottom of this is massive.
Yeah.
So, you know, trying to guess it.
You need to get a little measuring, what do you call it?
Yeah.
The shot there. What I can't remember what it's called now. The measurements thing, metal thing.
Like after fun's guessing, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's nice. It's too strong.
If you get hammered on the first one, you know you put too much in. Right. Okay. So let's have a look at the chat while we're let's say stalling. Right, who we got? We've got Mr. Retrobait. Hoping my satellite internet holds up for this one. Oh, nice. Yes, of course. He's at his mum's, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He's not home.
Jamie, how you going, Jamie?
He's in England.
Yes, he is, yeah. So, did you see on the map like how far he had to go? That's quite a drive, isn't it?
I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him, filthy animal.
He made his own bed, didn't he?
Yeah. He decided to. No one forced him by gunpoint.
Joe Gaming Girly, how you doing? Pete's here. Oh, sorry, is you?
I messaged on his thing. I said, we'll catch him later. And then he obviously dropped off, bless him.
Oh, so he was he definitely live streaming then, was he?
Yeah, he was what he was doing is, you know, like when you get the professional like stand up, he was getting ready, getting everyone ready for you.
He was the warm up.
Yeah, that's right. He was like the young Kevin Hart of Dudley.
He's the hype man, basically.
he got him all warm for you, and then he's way off you go.
Everyone's expecting like Bill Burr or something, and they get me instead. Although saying that, I got a bald head like him, so I'm close. You ever watch Bill Burr? If you haven't watched him, he's funny. You should watch him. Cyber Snake, Jay, how you doing? About half that will do.
Yeah.
What's that on? About half that.
I think we're talking about drinks.
Oh, the Disaronno. Yeah. That's probably the best way to put it, isn't it? Like always, how's everyone? I'm good, sight. Right, what's this? Looking forward to the BBC micro chat. Yes, so am I, because clearly this is something Pete knows about, and it's something I know very little about. So, because my school was tight, we never got them. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true. Like, my primary school didn't get them. I don't know what they did with the money for it.
Have you not seen your head teacher's motorbike?
Yeah. It must have been one of the few schools that didn't get them.
Yeah, we had them. We had them in my school because we used to play. There was some really good games we used to play. I remember we used to play some good games. There's one particular one which we'll talk about later.
Nice.
Thing is, it was a Catholic school, so you know.
Oh, they were into other stuff.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Can't say too much.
Spent all their money on other things. That's all.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're on about.
I know all too well, mate. I know all too well.
Filthy animals.
Who had a Mattel Aquarius? The size already off.
Jesus.
Listen, Si's on fire. Literally, he's biting a bit to get involved. Bless him.
Do you know what I love about Si's? Like when he's on a stream and you're talking about something, he always just goes, "Well, like this." He just seems to pull things out of.
He lives in the warehouse.
Yeah.
He lives in the warehouse. That's the best thing to explain. Yeah, let me just 1 second. Yeah, this one. He just pulls off a shelf. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like the other day, Rach was
this
saying
one I made earlier.
Yeah. Rach was saying the other day, wasn't she, about any of us that got any oddities for the systems? And I was like, no, that's Si. Because if it's an odd thing for a micro, Si's got it. Like, it's very rare you find he hasn't. Oh, Tetley, evening.
Tetley, how we doing?
Yeah, that's Si talk to him. And yeah, that's all that. No Rach as of yet. Let me just quickly check my phone just to make sure she hasn't messaged or anything. Talk amongst yourself.
She's watching Emmerdale probably. It's Tuesday, isn't it? Emma's on. I don't even know anymore.
Right. She can't find a charger for it, so I don't know.
Is that the day it's on?
Oh, look, Si's just put, I am an oddity. Yeah.
Bless him. little troll warrior.
He does hammer nails into his nose, doesn't he? Have you seen that video?
I put it up in the group the other day, innit?
Yeah. Yeah, he actually hammers a nail into his nose. Like, yeah. Crazy. Right. Okay. So let's get into our first topic. Now, Lee's already done this one. I've already done this one. So this one's more for you, Pete. And that is, what got you into micros?
Good question. Well, it's just, I don't know. It's just growing up as a kid in the 80s and like that kind of thing where you just, you ride your bike everywhere. You know what I mean? That's kind of sums up the 80s for me. Just riding your bike with your mates, and you kind of ride your bike and go to other people's houses, and other people just had micros. We never had one.
Yeah.
And I had a mate down the road whose brother had a C64, and whenever his brother went out, we'd kind of sneak into his room and play it. But sometimes he'd come home and sort of kick us out. And I had like mates who had Speckies and Amstrad and stuff. And I never really kind of favoured one over another. Because like they always say that question, like, what's the best one? It's really the one you had as a kid. And I had none of them as a kid. So I just liked playing them. Like anything I could get my hands on, I'd play. You know what I'm saying? And but my mate down the road, one of my best mates, Ali, he had a BBC Micro. And we had them in schools and that. And we did play a few games there. But really, like the bulk of how I got into it was just playing the BBC Micro at his. And we just play BBC Micro to death all the time. And that was really kind of my first love playing games, apart from the arcades. Like my first love playing games at home was definitely the BBC. And yeah, just kind of seeing, even during the lifespan of the BBC, just the development from very simple kind of arcade clones like Asteroids and stuff like that, and then which I'm sure we'll talk about later. It even just on the BBC, it progressed so much of what they were doing and what games were capable of and what games could be to me. So I think that kind of that journey through the BBC was really sparked that passion that which is obviously a lifelong passion now. For playing games.
Do you still have one?
Back to the BBC, really.
Do you still have one, Pete?
I do have one. it was it did belong to Alex Nintendo Arcade.
Boom.
Oh, okay.
Nearly bit his hand off when he was selling it.
Right.
But it's got I don't mess around with floppies anymore or anything. But actually, they're very hard to get hold of because my mate had floppies. We never used tapes.
Yeah.
I did use tapes when I went to mates' houses who had Speckies and Commodores and all that. No one ever had floppies, but BBC it was always floppies. But they're so hard to get now. And when you do see them come up, people want crazy money for them. So it's just got an SD card in that one, which suits me down to the ground. And you boot it up and it's got every game on and it loads instantly. There's no like waiting 10 minutes for it to load up, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, for the Commodore 64, I mean, I've got a tape cart for that, which I do use, but you're slightly limited with that because you can only put PRG files on it. So I do still use tape. But back in the day, it was more discs for me. When I first got my C64, it was all discs. But yeah, the thing is now, I mean, that discs rot over time. It's like, do I want to go back there, So I tend to just buy the tapes now, But yeah, so you used micros. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I know a lot of you into homebrews, and obviously having the tape or a disk drive in that case is handy. But
yeah,
otherwise, I think it's just a bit risky.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the comments here. What's this one here, Steve? Hi guys, I had a BBC when I was 14. Looking to buy another one as soon as I sold my BBC. Yeah. Yeah, see, so you want another one. That's the thing. I mean, there's different types, isn't there, of BBC, though, isn't there? Because the one Si, I think, is always talking about is the MSX2, I think. Was it the MSX2?
MSX2?
I'm sure that's
is
what
that not
said.
just is that not an MSX?
Hang on, he's in the comments. Let's see if he says.
Yeah, put it in there in a minute.
He will do.
Getting it off the shelf.
But yeah, there are a few different models. I think there's the Model B that I used back in the day, and that's the one I have now.
Yeah, because I'm sure that Si's got quite a few different ones. Because what was that TI-99 he was showing? Was that a BBC or was that something completely different?
That's completely different.
I don't think that's a BBC.
I know it's hard to keep up.
Isn't that made by? It's not made by Acorn, is it? It's made by. It's on the tip of my tongue. He makes that. So I'll say anyway. Texas Instruments. There you go.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah. Technic's just put it there, hasn't he? Yeah. I mean, one of the ones that I didn't realise when Si showed it. Obviously, I remember the Acorn Electron, but I never realised that was a BBC cut down until he said about it.
Wow.
So a lot of the games were released on both platforms.
Yeah. I think he said it lost a bit of performance, though, where they cut it down. It wasn't quite as powerful.
Yeah, well, that was the main problem with the BBC. It was so expensive. 400 quid, 500 quid, like early 80s. That's crazy money.
A lot of money.
No one had them. That's why I was so lucky that my mate had one, or his family had one.
Because this is the thing at the time, I suppose Spectrum was probably like dominating the home market at this time, wasn't it? So, because it was so much cheaper, wasn't it? I mean, one of the things I was saying. He was saying about how the early Spectrums, like, it only had one screw holding the board in to keep the costs down, So, yeah.
But that's where they nailed it. They made it affordable for everyone,
Yeah. Because something else he was saying was they used to use like busted RAM chips as well. He was buying busted RAM chips just to keep the cost down. So obviously you had a lot of Spectrums getting sent back then. But yeah. Yeah, so like I was saying, I mean, we never had the BBC at school, and I know a lot of people did use them. Like I was saying, obviously something was going on at my school. Catholic school, they're weird, aren't they? So what was this? There was an add-on for Acorn Electron to make it work like a BBC Micro called a Slugger board. Okay, interesting name.
How old is Sky? Is he like a vampire? Like, you know, like in Twilight? Is he like 96 but looks like 31 or something?
Well, that's the funny thing. He's about 5 years younger than me, but he knows more about this stuff than I do with the BBCs and that. That's the funny thing.
I think he grew up. He grew up in the warehouse, like in Rumbelows warehouse, something like that. All the computers.
Rumbelows.
Yeah. He was in Rumbelows in the back. Bless him.
Well, I mean, last stream we did, someone mentioned Tandy. I mean, that's another one, isn't it?
Tandy.
Yeah.
Rumbelows, Tandy, Dixon's, isn't it? Oh, Dixon's, bless it.
Oh, yeah. I've got to address this comment. Love the Man United flag. No, it's a scarf, and it's my oldest boy's, like, as a Chelsea one, and all that's my youngest.
Set fire to it.
I can't stand club football. Yeah, let's see. Sorry, 39.
You was born in 1939. Wow. That's impressive.
He's a time traveler.
That explains it. Yeah.
That explains, doesn't it, Pete? That's what it is. 1839. He's the 15th Doctor.
Yeah, he's pretty much H.G. Wells.
Yeah. Oh, look, bought my first VHS player from Tandy. Yeah. And see, another one I mentioned to someone the other day about Tempo. Do you remember Tempo? I used to like going in there and messing with all their computers. I used to love that because I was doing computers at college at the time. So I used to go in and wipe the hard drives and all sorts. Because you know that the people who work there, 9 times out of 10, know less than you do. So if you go in and just wipe it all off, they ain't got a clue how to fix it. I used to love doing that. That was back when you used to learn DOS because Windows wasn't what it was becoming a thing, but you know.
Yeah. I still have to. I got a Windows 98 PC here, and just using DOS on it, it just takes me back to how much of a pain in the arse it was.
Yeah,
like getting sound cards configured, and that is an absolute nightmare. Took me ages because you have to type all this gibberish in to get it working on Windows, and then it's all separate for working on DOS. And then like I'd have like sound effects working and the music not working, or vice versa, and stuff like that. It's just madness. And now like everything's plug and play, like literally plug and play. Because when plug and play first came out, it wasn't really plug and play, was it? Like, let's be honest.
No. Yeah, that's the thing with Windows. I mean, that's why it became so successful when it was because everything worked with it, you know. So, yeah, that was the thing with DOS. It was a lot trickier. But I did like the fact that I did learn quite a bit about DOS because at times when someone's having trouble with a computer, I could go into DOS and, you know, do something on it there. You know, and they look at you like you just perform witchcraft because they're only used to Windows, you know. So,
yeah.
Mind you, that's what I can remember, though. That's the thing. I mean, there's a lot to, you know, with DOS, there's a lot to remember. And I've got to be honest, I don't remember most of it. I need to set up my retro gaming PC. Not used it for years. Yeah, see, I've got a retro PC. I've got a thin client that I got from Martin. And it's basically just a miniature PC that I used to use in the call centers. And it's just got a hard drive in it. And it's perfect. Like, I was sitting there playing things like Command and Conquer and out on it. It's really good. Right.
Lee very kindly sorted me out with this PC, didn't you, Lee?
Oh, the one I picked up for you. Yeah. It was it looked like fucking brand new.
Yeah, it was like mint, wasn't it? It still looks amazing. But
and then he had I'm trying to remember. He said to me he had all the original stuff, like the graphics card. Was it with it? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it had graphics card, and it had like a decent sound card with a Vortex chip on it, and all sorts. Yeah,
it looked brand new. Like literally, it looked like brand new.
But like Si says, there's nothing quite like playing Doom and that on a old PC like that, you know.
Champ Manager, mate. Love playing Champ Manager on old PC as well for me.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, I mean, you know, some of the games that were on PC that they converted to other systems like consoles, etc. You lose the mouse feel and things like that.
Yeah,
you know, it's just not the same, is it? You know, like for example, when they put Lemmings on Mega Drive, you know, you try and play that, it's a mess, isn't it? You know, you put it on a PC or an Amiga, perfect.
Do you know what it is as well? It's that little bit of nostalgia of having a PC computer desk with one of those stupid fucking chairs. We had to turn the cog to make the back stay in place. You're sitting close to the screen, and as you're on the mouse, you're pushing yourself away because of the wheels on the chair. You got your drink on the top shelf, a couple of bickies or whatever, and then you're playing Chatman. You're waiting for it to load. They were good times. Good times.
Yeah. Right. Shall we move into our next topic?
Yes, sir.
Which is, I have a working specky. Right. So when I went down and see Scott at the Retro 5 weekend, I came home with this. So I now have a working Spectrum, and this is actually Scott's Spectrum. So, yeah, and it obviously Scott has done many videos with this. He's now got a Next, so he can play the games through the Next. So we worked out a little arrangement, and I now own a working Spectrum. So finally, yeah. So I had all that trouble with the 2A, and let's be honest, the grey one is the more compatible one, the better one to get. So yeah, and I've been playing quite a bit on this actually just recently. So yeah, really enjoying it. I bought a lot of homebrew for it, which I couldn't play because the other system wasn't working. So I've been playing on it quite a bit. I did put it on for my boys to have a look at. Now,
oh dear.
Well, my eldest, he'll pretty much play or watch anything, to be honest. He's a lot more open-minded than my youngest, I'd say. And they both loved the C64. So I thought, well, let's put the Spectrum on and see what they think, Kyle enjoyed it, some of the games. Like Redshift, he loved that. But then when he took a look at Ooze, he was like, I'll watch you, Dad. I think it looked a bit too complicated for him. So my youngest, though, he didn't really seem interested. I think he had to go on Redshift, but that was about it. So yeah, they both like the C64, though. So maybe, I think my eldest would probably play it again. I'm not so sure about my youngest, though. But yeah, so I am pleased to report I now have a Spectrum. So
yay,
this stack of homebrew games and even like some old titles that I got with the 2A bundle, I can now start sinking my teeth into. So I've already done a video on Redshift because let's be honest, if you're gonna bang a Spectrum game in and do a video, it's got to be that, isn't it? To be honest,
it looks
in my opinion, probably one of the best shooters at the moment.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
So, oh look, someone's put here. He's saying about that chair. Look, still using one of them chairs.
Trust ads.
Everything ads uses is like 30 years old. Same as his car. It's like from 1992 or something.
Oh, look at this. Look at the side. Look, finally have a good computer. He had to get it in there, didn't he? C64 for life, Si. Have you played Alien Girl? No, I haven't actually. I haven't got round to that yet. That is one that's planned to be next. I've pretty much played everything else. And I've just noticed I've been joined by a dog.
Nice.
How'd you get that door open? Like, Jesus. Oh, I'm actually in here at the moment. This room is like a sweat box. I've got a fan going, but it's not really making a lot of difference. It's like having an old lady breathing on you. It's not really helping.
Some people like that, mate. You can't completely.
Some people pay good money for that.
Yeah. I can tell you.
That's a different stream.
That's a different stream, mate.
Loved Castle Quest for the BBC. Very difficult though. Castle Quest. I haven't heard of that. But I
only know 2 or 3 games for the BBC Micro because we only played it at school. And obviously, we were talking before was Through the Dragon's Eye, which obviously we watched the TV show with Look and Read and all that shit. But I used to love like sitting on the floor in school, TV's up high, you fucking get a stiff neck. You're like, he's looking up at the screen because it's on a thing. But you used to watch, Through the Dragon's Eye, which was awesome. I'm trying to remember all the names. The Vitons, they look like what do you call it? The Triforces from Zelda, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Geordie Racer. Do you watch that?
Geordie Racer, yeah. Because we used to watch that. Geordie Racer, True Dragon's Eye, and then Ghost Rider, which was an American.
Yeah, oh my God, Ghost Rider was awesome.
Ghost Rider! Yeah.
Exactly.
But they were good times. And the game, to be fair, wasn't that bad. Like from what I remember, I tried to buy it on eBay, but
What game is this?
Through the Dragon's Eye.
Oh, right.
But I could not find it on eBay, or if it's been on, it's probably sold because I think most schools in my area were playing that game. Most of my friends who went different schools than me, they all were playing that game. So, but yeah, that was one of the games we used to play, which was pretty cool.
Anyone heard of this game? Because obviously, Spectrum, I was always Commodore 64, so Chronos, yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm new to it still, not Lee, so I only know so much.
Yeah, I mean, with you, what you have done is mainly C64 and Amstrad anyway, isn't it, at this point?
Yeah, I haven't got a Spectrum. I will get one. I need to, obviously, when one pops up locally to me, I will get one, but I haven't found one as of late.
The thing is, I mean, with a lot of the micros at the moment, the price is gradually going up on them, isn't it?
Yeah, they are because I've got the T2 edition of the Commodore 64, the T2 box, the Commodore 64, and I've seen that on Facebook. There's one on there now for 120.
Yeah,
and I think I paid up, and that's working. It says it's working. Obviously, I bought mine for 60, and he said it wasn't working, which it was. He just had no sound, if you remember.
That's then, right. You changed the fuse, didn't you?
Yeah, you guys told me to change the glass fuse, which I did. And then the SID chip came alive. Bless it. So that's doubled now. So that's 120 quid for that system. And obviously, I've got my Amstrad here. But obviously, I've got that. You won't even get in the. We will get in the screen. Obviously, I've got that for nothing, thanks to Sai.
Yeah, they're not small, are they? The old Amstrads.
Mate, you know what? When I picked it up, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a skateboard. Like the man handed it to me. I was like, "Oh, right, that's nice. I've got a skateboard." No, it's an Amstrad. But the only thing I'll say, it's a very good looking system, as in the colours and the buttons.
Yeah.
Compared to Commodore, I don't want to get shot, like sniping through the conservatory. But I just think this. If you look at that, I mean, obviously the buttons and the colours is actually quite a nice looking system. It is big. I mean, it's massive. I'd love to know how big the box was. I need to find one with a box, it'd be like a violin case, like a violin case or something. A massive box.
Yeah, see, a friend of mine had one, but I mean, I think I said it before. I never got a chance to play on it, and I don't ever remember him having the box for it. But I mean, that died a death because he got the Amiga, and so as a result, he stacked it up in the corner to put away because he now had the 500.
Yeah.
And he got a bit excited and kicked an orange across the room during an Aston Villa game, and it landed on the Amstrad. And it leaked inside and killed it all. So funny at the time, but
yeah. I'm going through. I bought a couple of games. They're coming. I bought Attack from the Planet of the Robot Monsters because it looks graphically better on the Amstrad than the C64. Because obviously that's the good thing now for me. I just go on YouTube and type in, I've bought Action Force, like G.I. Joe, the first game on the C64, because the Amstrad version seems to be going for a lot more money, and I can type them in and look at them, compare them with my 4-year-old eyes and say, oh, yeah, that looks better. So that was Attack from the Planet Robot Monsters. Just visually look more colourful and more sharper than the C64.
Yeah, the colour palette, I think.
Escape from.
Say?
Escape from.
What am I saying?
You said attack of, I think.
Attack from. Is it escape from?
Oh, yeah, escape from.
It's the same bloody. Yeah, Escape from the Planet.
I love that. I love that game. It's one of my favourite Amiga games.
But you know what's interesting about that? The Amiga version has better music than the arcade. If you listen to the arcade, it doesn't have that. Doesn't have that on the arcade. I know. It has it on the Amiga.
Because they've got it at Arcade Club, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Because that's where I played it in Bury, and I was like, "Where's the fucking song? Where's the fucking song?
Yeah.
Like, there's no song."
I know.
But then the Commodore and the Amstrad, I've got a completely different song. Like I've never heard of it. Like it's a different thing. But the Amiga version is better. You know, save the robot, save Dr. Bellum.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, you know, the Amiga's 16 bits, so it was, you know, it's going to be better.
Sorry, we're not on micro. Sorry, Lee. I don't mean to. We got.
Oh no, that's not what I'm saying. We can talk about Amiga, mate. That's fine, and we have done. But yeah, what I'm saying is it's 16 bits, so it's going to be better, wouldn't it? So
no, yeah, of course. But like I'm saying, the Escape from the Planet Robot Monsters on the Amstrad, actually, I was very surprised of how good it looked. You know, in comparison, I know it's like Amiga, but I was quite pleased. So that's why I bought it. I think it cost me like £8 delivered. It's not come yet. I think it was $7.99 posted, like delivered, whatever you want to say. An actual full was on the Commodore 64. I think that was like £6-7, something like that. You know?
When you say Action Force,
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Because yeah, the American
we got this Action Force, didn't we? Action Force against Cobra the enemy. Yeah, so
Cobra the enemy fighting to save the day.
Because that's another thing. Like it gets me because obviously the movie, we the G.I. Joe movie, they've got two different music intro. The Action Force one is way better than the American version, but the American one as that Cobra. We don't get that on the Action Force one, but it's really cool. But that's another stream.
Well, it's funny you saying about Action Force because basically my nan used to buy me the Transformers comics back in the day, and do you remember they did a crossover, didn't they, with Action Force? Do you remember that?
I do have those.
I wish I still had mine. I wish I had.
They've redone them, Lee. I'll send you a link. You can buy them on eBay. They've redone them, and
really?
It's a bit more violent.
Yeah.
Because obviously Cobra had Megatron and Shockwave and Soundwave and all that jazz. And Optimus Prime had Flint and Duke and Snake Eyes and Beachhead, all them characters, and Wicket and everything. But the newer ones are really cool. And there's also a crossover with Mask with Matt Tracker, which is awesome.
Oh, okay.
Because I've got the Matt Tracker Action Force G.I. Joe figure,
nice.
in a box, like in the little packet you got when you bought an Action Force character.
Nice.
They did loads of crossovers. Them ones, there's loads in it. There's fucking
yeah. Because that's the thing. I mean, my nan used to buy me that all the time, and then when I got a bit older, do you remember Looking? You remember Looking?
Of course, Looking. Hello.
Yeah, when I got a bit older, that was what she started buying me then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's funny though, because I don't know what happened in Transformer comics. I bet they're in my mum's loft, like everything else.
Yeah, you're probably right, mate.
Yeah. Right, okay. Let's go into our next topic. Now,
I'm just going to turn the fan on, Lee, because I'm sweating here
go on.
Like Michael Jackson in... I shouldn't say that.
No, probably not.
No,
not the best comparison, is it?
No, mate, sorry, I'm not going to get anyone. Oh, there we go. I've turned the fan on. There we go. Whew.
Right, so this topic here, I really wanted to talk about, but before I do, I just want to put the trailer on for it, just in case any of you guys haven't seen it. And I had a real nightmare trying to upload this on here. I had to reduce the resolution and all that just to get it on here. So if it looks a bit blurry, it's not my fault. But yeah, let's hang on. Let me just take the banner off first, because otherwise that'll be in the corner of it the whole time. And we will push play.
a visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
Right. Okay. So the reason I wanted to play that was because this got announced 4 weeks ago. It was after the last Maniacs stream, and I did a collab video with Paul Retrobate. Anyone who's seen that will probably know my opinion on this already. But one of the things I will say, just watching that trailer, did any of you notice that Bruce Lee had the Cytronic logo?
Yeah.
Underneath? Yeah. So that used to be Datasoft. So I'm guessing that Cytronic now own that, right? So
maybe
might see a
Well,
re-release of that.
that seems to ring a bell. That's isn't there like a different Cytronic to the original Cytronic now? I don't know.
Well, Cytronic's the homebrew one, isn't it? And they copied their font from
Yeah, they
Psygnosis,
copied
haven't
Psygnosis font, but
they? Yeah.
well, they must own the rights to it then.
Yeah, must do. But
Hmm.
so I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet with this, and if you've watched that video with Paul, you'd get that straight away. But my issues with this, and I've liked some of the Evercade carts in the past, but for every good one, there's a bad one, and there's been a few bad ones, I'd say, lately. This one is one of them, right? So you got 14 titles, and in my opinion, there's only 2 really that are worth buying the cart for, I would say, and that's Bruce Lee and Impossible Mission.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing about the trailer is that Impossible Mission is easily probably the best game on there, right? And it gets the shortest amount of airtime on the trailer, which I thought was hilarious, But the thing is, this is a cash grab, right? If you buy a C64 Mini, which you can pick up for about 30, 40 quid on Amazon all day long, and then you can download these games for free, right? And some of these even come on the Mini when you get it, like Alley Cat, for example, right?
Yeah.
So why on earth would you go and pay $17.99? And this is only cart 1. This is cart 1, so there's going to be more. Why would you go and buy this? And
Yeah.
The other thing for me also is that I've heard people say, well, it's introducing a new generation to the Commodore 64. Well, if you're introducing a new generation, pick some better games.
It's going to put them off.
Yeah. I think that selection of games are terrible. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I thought it was dull, and I thought I'd have no interest in it until Impossible Mission came out, because that's one of my favourites on the BBC. I love that game. But yeah, rest of it. Not play Bruce Lee, although I did kind of enjoy the music on that trailer of the Bruce Lee music. But yeah, rest of it looked quite boring, didn't it?
I mean, some of them I saw on there. And, bearing in mind, not everyone's going to know every single game on a micro, because there was hundreds, thousands maybe. But some of them, when I saw them, like Marauder, for example, I was like, I've never even heard of that. Like, obviously wasn't very popular back in the day, Just looking at the comments here, because I've got some.
A lot of people talking about Bruce Lee 2. There's a Cytronic 2013 version. A couple of them saying about Jumpman and about Mission Impossible. Sorry.
See, Jumpman for me, right? I mean, I don't remember that being that good on the C64. I mean, if I was going to pick a game like that, I would probably pick Load Runner because I thought that was a better game. But, you know, that's just me, I suppose.
When it popped up, I almost thought it was Load Runner for a second, and then I thought, hang on, actually, I don't recognise that.
That Marauder kind of reminded me a little bit of Swift, you know, like Super Swift or Silkworm or whatever. When he's got the car and the helicopter. Is that Swift?
Yeah.
That is Swift, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to love Swift, like on the Amiga.
Yeah,
bloody hell.
Yeah, of course.
The music, dum 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 dum. Oh fucking hell! Don't get me started.
See, someone's put here winter summer games. Yeah, you know, they're not bad games, but again, you know, you see them on everything, don't you? You know, they're generic games that just crop up all the time, you know. I just think they could have done their homework a bit more and put some better games on. I mean, like, for example,
it's like you said, there's number one on the cart, so number two will have another 2 or 3 good games out of the 12 or 20 they put on, and they just keep milking it. But what you said was spot on. Amazon are doing for like £29 or the micro C64. You might as well buy that and then home hack it like you do. Well, not even hack it, just put bloody dongle in and play it on that, innit? And then you get a controller for free with it, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, you think some of the games they could have put on here, like IK Plus.
that game is unreal. You know,
or,
there's so many
creatures.
Yeah, creatures.
But, I mean, we don't know what's going on with the licensing behind the scenes. I very much doubt they wouldn't be able to get Turrican, I doubt.
No, probably not. But I mean, I just think if you're going to release a cart, you should be trying to get some of these licenses and not just release any old crap on it, you know, just for a cash grab. You know, because that's how that feels. And I've noticed with Evercade that a lot of it's feeling that way now. A lot of it seems to be just a cash grab. Like, it's funny because normally I can look at an Evercade cart and just go, yeah, that's not very good. That's not for me. I won't buy it. But this one seemed almost like a personal insult because it's Commodore 64, you know. It really pissed me off. Like, when I saw the selection of games, I was like, are you kidding me? This is what you're presenting to people. Look how good Commodore 64 is. And you pick some of the worst games. Like,
you think about it, Lee, the people that own Blaze, probably in their late to early 50s, late 40s, early 50s, 50s. So they're going to know full well what C64 games are the better ones.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So there must, like Pete said, there must be like a licensing rule because it was the same shits when you got the Dizzy games, for example. You got the NES versions of the Dizzy games on the bloody Evercade, which were the worst versions going.
Yeah.
So there must be some backstory, but then again, like they don't tell you that. They just say, "Oh, buy this cart because it's C64." Not the reason why we can't have A, B, and C is because of this. It feels a bit more open book from them. I think people would respect them more rather than just put stuff out that looks like they're just trying to grab your money. You know what I mean?
And again, like I say, you know, you go and buy a mini for 30 quid, you can download these games for free. Like,
there you go, innit? And that's and they know that. They're not stupid. They know that as well. So it's even more of an insult, really, when you think about it. They know that.
Yeah, look,
there you go.
typical Blaze done on the cheap. And the thing is, when you buy a mini, I mean, admittedly, the joystick's not great, but if you've got an Amiga mini, you can use the control pad from that, which solves your problem. You know, I don't know. It has really bugged me. It has bugged me. Like, you know,
well,
it's I don't know. Like I say, if it was anything else, I think, you know, like usual, because they have done bad carts before, and I can let it go. It's like, fine, I just won't buy that one. But this one particularly, like, it really upset me. And if anyone's watched the video I did with Paul, like, Paul tries to be upbeat in the video. None of mine is. He's pretty much just, this is crap.
Paul was drunk.
Like,
Paul was drunk. He was on a pint of red wine. So,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I say, I mean, Impossible Mission, it's a great game, but I just thought it was funny that in the trailer they played like a second of it, and that was it. You know, the best game on the cart by miles.
Yeah.
maybe they don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they don't know. Because if you knew, you'd put Impossible Mission on the trailer for longer, surely.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is. Love Dizzy back in the day. Yeah. Talk about Dizzy. Yeah, I've got the Dizzy cart. I don't like Dizzy games.
I'm just going to go fill up my drink, guys, because I am sweltering here.
It's
Yeah, you got the same problem I got.
It is bloody warm.
Yeah, it's going to get worse as well, guys. It's going to get much worse.
It really is. I know. Yeah.
Oh, look, Paul, I'm all about positivity.
Forget Paul. Forget Paul.
He really tried, because the problem with me, right, is I've got one of them faces. I can't pretend to like something if I don't. I can't, because I know my face is just saying exactly what's going on in here, you know. So that's why
No
when you watch that
face.
video, yeah, and when you watch that video, you'll see there's parts where I'm just looking at the camera, and if people can't understand what I'm thinking in my head, just looking at that, you know, it's obvious. You know,
it's one of them, mate, innit? It's one of them.
Yeah.
Barbara Castle. Bernard Castle.
Barbara Castle. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying there. I was a bit like Barbara Castle. Look. Right. So let's get ready for when Pete comes back, and we'll find our next topic. Oh, yes. Now, this one will definitely interest him. That one there. This was actually Pete's idea, this one. I think this is a good topic. Good question. This one, I don't know. This one might be a bit tricky for you, Lee, because, I mean, you've got into micros recently, haven't you? But didn't you used to watch your brother play them as well? You didn't you?
Yeah, so the games that stand, like, we're come to, there's games that stand out for me because I remember watching my brother play them. And obviously I can talk about I've got a couple of homebrews here. I've got a few more over there, but I managed to pick up something here that I'll show a bit later. See, this is going to be the first time it's ever been shown on YouTube, so I'll show that in a little bit.
Well, don't forget, we have got homebrew at the end, so I don't know if you want to keep anything.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I can just talk about the ones that I played with my brother, because I do remember them quite good, actually, to be fair.
Right, Pete's back. Right, so like I was just saying, this was obviously your topic, Pete, because I thought this was a good topic, to be honest. When you said what about this, yeah, and the thing is, everyone's going to have a different view on this, aren't they? You know what they think behind it. So there's no right or wrong answer to it, really, is there? So,
no.
Do you want to take this one away, Pete? Like,
yeah, I mean, from a BBC perspective, I suppose, which you might have less exposure to. So I was kind of, after I suggested that, I kind of had a think of not necessarily my favorite games, but games that were just hugely influential BBC games. And Elite is one, obviously. So Elite started on the BBC, got ported to a lot of systems, and you know, that's groundbreaking stuff. You know, space trading game, and just the scope of it and the sheer size of that game was incredible for the time. When you consider like the capabilities of the BBC, that's just ridiculous. So,
that's the one that's all 3D, isn't it? If I remember right.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I was thinking of the same game. Yeah,
it's kind of like 3D, and you're flying through, like pseudo 3D, and flying through space and what have you. And,
it was impressive.
But there's unbelievable. I mean, but I didn't really play it much, because I think it was just because I only really played stuff with my mates, and that was just a bit too involved for us to kind of sit and play, you know, together. But one of my favorite games on the system is called Imogen, and that was incredible. And the gist was, you were a wizard called Imogen, and you could transmogrify into certain animals.
Someone's mentioned this before. I know what one you mean.
Oh, yeah. So you could transform into like a monkey, and the monkey's ability was he could climb ropes, and you could transform into a cat, and the cat could jump. and you get these small little levels, and I forget how many levels there were. Let's say there's like 40 or 80 levels or whatever in the game. And you just get random levels. So it's just totally random which level you get. And basically you have to make your way to the exit. So you might have, you know, a bit where you need to climb a rope, you need to change into the chimp or whatever it was, a bit where you have to jump as the cat. I think there was a bird at one point, you could become bird. But basically, throughout the whole game, you only had a set amount of transformations.
Yeah.
So if you ran out before getting to the end, you lose. Basically, that was the only. But the trickiness was they were like puzzles. It's very much like the Lost Vikings, if you've ever played that.
Yeah.
Which was a SNES game that was ported to the Amiga, and I loved it on the Amiga. But it's kind of like that, but you know, instead of having 3 separate characters, they were all within this one character who could transform. Really, like amazing stuff to see. And one of the most amazing games, and I still remember the first time I saw it, and it absolutely blew me away, is this game called Exile. And that's again been ported. I think it was ported to the Amiga, although I've not played any ports of it. You guys might have come across it on other 8-bits. But
Alex likes Exile, I think, if I remember right. Nintendo Arcade. Yeah. I think he's a big fan of it.
It's amazing. Yeah. Like it's one of the earliest examples of a Metroidvania game. You basically you're this like spaceman guy, and you land on this planet, and you have to rescue people. And it all takes place in this kind of underground cavernous system. So you're going around these caves, and it was just amazing because you can do most of it in any order. There wasn't really a set order to do things. It was kind of open world in that sense, which was a big deal for the time, that you don't have to do these things in order. You can choose what you want to do. And even some parts were just skippable. You didn't have to bother with. But you had a jetpack. And one of the most amazing things about this game was the physics. So it had full like Newtonian physics. So like all the laws of Newtonian physics were like abided by, like inertia and momentum and all that. It all worked perfectly in this game. That was the most amazing thing. Like, remember seeing that as a kid, and I was like, oh my god, this game has like realistic physics. And that was nuts to me on the BBC. I just couldn't believe how good it was. And it has like speech and stuff as well, which was cool for time. But it really is like if you jetpack and the momentum carries you, and if objects are knocked and this, that, and the other, everything like obeys the proper physics. And it was just incredible game. Very difficult. I don't remember us ever finishing it, but it was kind of one of those games you just wanted to play again and again and just see if you could push that a little bit further. But you got these crazy robots that come after you, right? And they said something like you die, and they kind of sound like Daleks kind of thing, like that digitized, really shitty digitized speech. But when you heard it, you panic because they're like Terminators, and they would just come after you relentlessly and kill you, right? There's no way around it, really. Especially, I don't know if later on in the game you get like the means to kind of destroy them, but you basically had to just run away from them, and you could trap them and destroy them by like using traps. Like I think you could use like jet engines and stuff to like destroy them and stuff like that. So you had to like be really clever about luring them into a certain place and then kind of triggering traps to kill them. But
so you got to think a lot.
One of the ways you do that is, and a lot of in a lot of the parts of the level, because it was huge. This cavernous underground like levels and stuff. It's all one big thing, but it was absolutely enormous. So you had all these teleportation places throughout the levels, throughout the caves. So you could like teleport somewhere else miles away, but the robot would come through and teleport and follow you. It was like proper relentless. It was terrifying. But you could kind of use that, knowing it's going to come through and teleport and kind of trick it and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really doing it justice by explaining it, but
well, I don't know. It sounds quite quite complicated for. And you're saying this was on the BBC?
Yeah, unreal.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? I mean, and like you're saying, you've got to be strategic in what you're doing. It seems like they put a lot into it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you could get
I've heard of it.
upgrades for your jetpacks and stuff, and upgrade weapons and this, that, and the other, and loads of other stuff. And it was just had so much to it. It was incredible.
I mean, Scott's put here wasn't Exile a spiritual sequel to Hero? Do you know if that was?
I'm not sure.
Be interesting if it was.
Hmm.
I mean, Hero's another good game. A lot of people like that.
Oh, I don't think I've played that.
What, Hero?
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's good on the Specky, and they actually say it's better on the Specky than the C64. It's one I'm going to have to try and pick up for the Specky, I think. But like everything, prices are going up on some of these. I mean, I don't have any users seen how much jetpack is, and let's see if you can find it now. That's difficult to find at a reasonable price. The physics were awesome. Hard game. Jay's put, I'd rather buy the original C64 tapes than have an Evercade. Yep. I'd agree there. Oh, look. Done a brilliant job of explaining that game. Sounds interesting.
I don't need to buy it now. I know what's happening.
BBC original C64 version was super, and I'd love the Amiga version, but it's expensive. Yeah. And that always
so it was on the C64 then as well, was it?
Yeah, by the sounds of it. I don't think I've played it. I know, I'm sure it was Alex. I'm sure it was Alex I've heard talking about it, but then Paul's talking about it now, so maybe it was Paul. I know that one of us was talking about it. Yeah, so I know it's meant to be a really good game. I'm thinking it's Alex because I'm sure Alex has got a BBC, hasn't he, Lee?
He has, yeah.
He's got one on loan at the moment, I think.
Yeah, he's got one of his pals or something. He was saying.
Because I think he regretted selling that other one to me.
Yeah.
And then he managed to get another one online. I think he missed it as soon as it left. You know, we all know we've all done that, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whenever someone says to me your biggest gaming regrets, I'm always like, when I sold my first Commodore 64, I should never have done it. You know, 2 years after I'd sold it, I regretted that because it takes a little while for you to realise. But yeah, you know, I'm not surprised. Like something like the BBC, I don't imagine they come along all the time, and if they do, I imagine they're quite pricey now as well, aren't they? Yeah. Well, so what I would say, I'm going to come at this probably from a Commodore 64 side of things. Lee, what system are you coming at from? Because I've got a few for C64 and Specky. Because
mine would be Spectrum because that's what my brother had. That's what I used to watch. Like I said before, I was only allowed to hand the games to him or hand the joystick. I was allowed to play the games when I was a kid. Let me get you a drink. Let me turn the light on. Let me get you a Snickers or a marathon.
Yeah, marathon. Yeah, remember them days.
So my brother used to play Target Renegades. I remember that very much, and Renegades. School
much
days.
Better on the Specky than the C64, I have to add.
I've only ever seen it on the Spectrum, so
don't play them on the C64. Don't do it.
I'll say School Days. Chase HQ. I remember that.
Yeah.
Operation Wolf. Platoon. Cobra. But there's one game that sticks out. Is Jack the Nipper. I used to tell my brother.
Oh yeah, you always mention this one, don't you? Yeah.
Jack the Nipper. There was something about it. The cover was like a little baby in it. Yeah. But there was other games, but I don't remember all of them. I remember like Bubble, Rainbow Islands, and RoboCop and Predator, Platoon, Batman. There's a few in it, but Jack the Nippers, because I remember that still now. Skate and Die. I think it was. There was a few. There was quite a few.
Yeah.
To be fair. But I can only go on what I remember. I have not got these games on the C64 as of yet. I've got a couple, but not like I haven't got Chase HQ or Jack the Nipper. I don't know if Jack the Nipper came out on the C64. I don't know.
Paul loves Platoon, as you know, on the C64.
Yes.
He loves that game.
Yeah.
One of his favourites.
But you know, I'm just only assuming here because I don't know much about it. But I'm guessing that several of those came out on both the C64 and the Spectrum.
Yeah,
right?
they did, but like because my brother had a Spectrum, we never had a Commodore. He went from a Spectrum then to Amiga. Then I got a NES, then a Master System, Mega Drive, Super NES, blah 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 blah. But I never got into systems.
What would you say? You know, even like not necessarily from childhood, but even now, like what would you say is like the defining kind of quintessential Spectrum games, like that you think when you think of Spectrum, you think of those games? You know,
it's always Jack the Nipper for me, but only because I remember my brother playing it so much. And there was a Batman game, but not Batman the movie. It had the penguin on the front of it. I don't know what it's called.
This
Is
comment
it Batman
here,
the Cape Crusader?
Yeah, it might have been. I know what Batman you're on about.
It's more like the comic book.
The comic book,
colours rather than the dark Batman the movie kind of cover. I remember that. But Jack the Nipper is something I can always talk about that. I remember that. Maybe Double Dragon as well. Maybe. But
so when I think of Spectrum, I don't really think of anything like, you know, I don't think like no games come to mind at all. Although I played a lot of games on it, nothing is like really Spectrum for me. But like when I think of Commodore 64, I think of a few, you know, like IK Plus and stuff like that.
Yes. So like now,
was it like that, Lee?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is that game, Cape Crusader.
I remember that because it come with a poster.
That's
and
right.
An ocean bag for the game and the manual, like a plastic Ziploc bag. I remember that.
Nice.
With the C64, Pete, for me, because I'm more homebrew, like now I think there's a couple of games I think of straight away because of Lee, Martin, Si to an extent, and Paul. You know, like we'll go over them ones later. But on the C64, like I've got a few compilation tapes. So I've got one here, Rainbow Island, Bubble, and like New Zealand in the story. I mean, I'm still playing these.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good compilation.
And they're all still really good fun now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bought this controller, which is an Amiga one, but if you listen, it's like micro switched. So when you're playing like Bubble,
I remember them back in the day.
Yeah, the
when they're called bugs. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a green one which is worth a bit more money.
Yeah.
But I remember this because my brother had this and he used to play sensible soccer on this. But for like Bubble, Rainbow Island, New Zealand story, because it's a bit more tighter to use, and obviously I've now got another cruiser. These
nice.
I always find these a little bit more clumsy compared to this. This is a bit more tighter.
Yeah.
Which I know
but it fits in your hand nicely as well, doesn't it? That stick. Yeah.
But the cruiser, look like color wise, that is my favorite color one. I know Martin's got the multicolored one, which I think I have got a multicolored one, like the green, yellow, and pink one. But this is by far the nice, and it's got like an arcade top to it, which I didn't realize until recently, rather than a square kind of top one.
See, back in the day, my joystick of choice was the zip stick. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
That was great on Arcade Plus. It was really good on that game. I mean, now I use an Arcade R, which is like a modern equivalent, but it's very good. Sorry,
on BBC we didn't have controllers. They didn't exist, you know.
No
keyboard, right?
No one had one, so it was keyboard all the way. Although I do have like a custom little arcade stick now.
Yeah.
I should get that out actually. Do you know Victor Marland? He makes a lot of like Vectrex peripherals and stuff.
Nice.
Right. Right.
Yeah, he made that for me. That's fucking awesome. It looks like really authentic actually.
Have You got
I've
it
just
around?
realised, Lee, it says here on the bottom, it says cheetah on this. You won't be able to. I don't think you'll be able to. Oh, you might be able to. It says
See, that's
cheetah.
interesting because Cheetah had a history of making really cheap, like awful joysticks. Like if you played something like Decathlon, you would kill it. It was a joystick killer if you had a Cheetah, and that's quite interesting because it's obvious that they got their shit together later on.
nice.
You know. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that is nice.
Looks
And is
pretty,
that's
pretty
a
legit.
new one? Is that Pete? A new?
Yeah, it's a couple. He made it a couple of years ago.
Nice.
He makes them to order, basically.
It looks like an early, very small Nintendo NES Advantage controller.
It does.
Very similar, but smaller, obviously.
Yeah. But
Isn't there?
I still use keyboard.
Do you? Is that because you're what you're used to? I suppose.
But that's what you know, innit? That's what you know for the BBC. That's what I said before. Like, I only bought that because my brother had it, and I remember using it. Otherwise, I never would have bought it. You only play with what you know.
Yes.
If you know the keyboard, you play the keyboard, innit? You know, that's.
See, for me, I mean, I would have bought the Zip Stick, but when I was looking at them, the price was nearly the same as the modern equivalent. So I didn't see the point because it's like, when I'm going to buy that, it'll probably break 6 months down the line. I might as well just buy the modern equivalent, you know?
Well,
and it's practically the same thing anyway. So
it's one of those things. Like, this is a little bit off topic in terms of it's a newer thing, but like Broken Sword on the PlayStation 1, I got it when I bought the game brand new, which was $39.99 in Virgin or wherever. I never forget this. I went to the till, and the man said to me, "Oh, have you played this before?" I said, "No, I've heard loads about it. I'm looking forward to it." He goes, he said, "This. I'm talking. This is 96, 97. So like good old couple of years ago." He was like, "You need to use a mouse," and I was like, "A mouse for the PlayStation 1?" And he goes, "Yeah, 1 minute." And I bought it. It was like 24 quid, like an official Sony PlayStation
I had a
mouse
for the PlayStation.
And I must admit, like, you think about it now, like the Monkey Islands and all them kind of games, you played with a mouse, like you know, like the clicking games, innit? And it was the same with Broken Sword. So what Pete was saying about using the keyboard just makes sense. That's what you know, innit? I would imagine playing Broken Sword with a controller, for example, would be fucking it wouldn't be right, would it?
Well, I mean, for a good example, I tried to play Cannon Fodder not so long back, I think on the Mega Drive.
No, it's pointless.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, you know, PC or Amiga, use a mouse. Like, you can
get a mouse for the Mega Drive, but they're like 150, 200 plus. Like, they're like, and it's
I've been
Mega
trying
Drive
to buy
2
one.
Well. Eh?
I've been trying to buy one just to make a video on it, and I thought I'm not spending.
They're silly money
for
what they are, mate. They're fucking silly money, man. But I don't know what games, unless Carmen San Diego or them kind of games, maybe. I don't know what you'd use it for, to be honest.
That was going to be the video. There was quite a few games that did use it.
Oh, fair. I'm not going to say any more.
Nothing exciting, but
well,
sorry.
So for me, I mean, if I was going to look at games, I think that were, and I've got a little list here, that were influential, like for the C64. I mean, a couple of them we've already mentioned, like Impossible Mission would definitely have to be one of them. I mean, that was one of the earliest games to have speech on it, as far as I know. So, and let's not forget Last Ninja. I mean, that was great. I mean, if you've seen the NES version of that, it was bloody terrible, but the C64 one was great. Then you've got, how can we forget this one? Turrican. I mean, that was actually out on the C64, and then they ported it to the Amiga because it was so good. So, you know, you can't miss that one. And then Creatures, and I know Paul will agree with this. Creatures 1 and 2, they're good games too. I mean, they were really good on the C64. And that's me trying to pick games that aren't out on all of them systems, if you like, you know. So now Spectrum, obviously I've only recently got a Spectrum, but I know through people like Si and that there are certain games that you would probably class as genre defining. And I think Jetpack would definitely be one of them. Probably most of the Play the Game games that were out, to be honest, because you had Attic Attack. I forget the others. Horace Goes Skiing. That's another one. A lot of people, when they think of Spectrum, think of that game.
I remember that.
Yeah. So you can't forget this one, Jet Set Willy. That's another one.
Yeah, of course.
And then one that was mentioned earlier, Hero. You know, most people think that's better on the Spectrum. So again, I would say that's a defining game. I mean, Si's in the comments, so he'll probably correct me if I'm wrong on any of these. So I'm waiting for a bashing. But oh, someone's put here. Pete got a brilliant stick for the BBC. Yep. Si's talking about CD iPads being terrible.
Yeah, they're terrible. The iPads.
Quick Shot 2 Turbo Joystick. I had one of them. That was the red one. Yes, that's right. Yep, I had one of them. I preferred the Zip Stick, though. Ghostbusters had speech. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Attic Attack,
Robocop had speech as well.
I think so. I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did.
I know on the Amiga it has. I know that much.
I would have thought so. I'm sure it had speech.
He says, serve the public trust, protect the
Protect
innocent.
your move the law.
It says all that, doesn't it? I'm sure it does.
Oh, Sable Wolf. Yeah, that's one that Scott mentions a lot.
That's an ultimate play the game one, isn't it? Sable Wolf.
Yeah. Ant Attack, Jumping Jack, Night Law. I don't know.
I'll have to look at these afterwards.
Wheelie.
I'll go and watch an OSG video, one of these Spectrum best games he's done recently. So Alex?
Spectrum Robocop has speech, yes. Now, I did think that the Spectrum version did because I played that recently.
I've got that on the C64. I've got it on the C64.
If it did. I'm sure it did, but
I'll have to check.
I know the music's different, isn't it? On the C64, the music's different on Robocop.
Yeah. It's like it's that on and on as Ariston. That's
it, yeah. I'm sure I've heard that on someone's channel as an intro as well. I'm sure I have.
Probably. It's quite an iconic one, that Robocop one, isn't it?
Welcome to Treasure Island, Dizzy.
Okay, there you go.
See, I would never say a Dizzy game because I don't like them. Don't know if I've mentioned that. I know Si don't like him either, so he's probably going to say that.
Doesn't like Resident Evil either, the filthy animal.
I don't like Resident Evil.
Yeah, you don't.
Nah, I mean,
Metal Gear Solid. Fucking hell.
I'll tell you what it is for me, right? For me, you're one or two people, right? You're either Resident Evil or House of the Dead. And the reason I say this, right, is you either just want to shoot zombies or you want to shoot a couple of zombies and run around doing loads of puzzles. And for me, I'm a very simple man. I just want to kill stuff.
I'm a very simple man.
I am. I just want to kill stuff.
Yeah,
I don't want to do puzzles. I don't want to go from near the end of the game all the way back to the beginning to grab a gem, go back and put it here. Sod that. I just want to shoot stuff. Right? You know? But that's me. If we was all the same, we'd be boring, right? So,
well,
what's that? Sorry, it dropped out. I don't want to know what you're up to, Paul.
Yeah,
filthy animal.
Love House of the Dead and Resident Evil. Right, so
that's a separate stream. Stream.
Yeah. My friend James is proving me wrong here because he likes both. So, well, yeah, and so does Joe as well. So, yeah, I'll be honest. Like I say, I'm a simple man. I just want to kill stuff.
I just want to kill stuff.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to do all that running around. Let's just shoot stuff. It's much more fun. Right, okay. Shall we move into our next topic then, shall we? Because we're caught up on all the chat. And what are we looking at? Right, this was another one actually you come up with, Pete. And that is Clones rip-off titles.
Oh.
Yes. Who wants to go first with this?
I haven't got a clue. So this would be new to me because I know there are names similar or clones, but I don't know enough about it. So I'm going to have to take a back seat and listen to what you two say, to be honest.
I'll be honest. I've only wrote like a couple down that I just thought of at the time, you know. But Pete, any you can think of there?
Well, there were loads of clones on the BBC. It's quite well known for them. You know, clones are like the arcade classics. Like there'll be like a Defender called something else slightly different, and you know, Asteroids called something slightly different, and all that. But the ones that I loved back in the day, it was this series of games called Killer Gorilla, which was a straight up copy of Donkey Kong.
Right. Okay.
So you had like Killer Gorilla 1 was Donkey Kong, Killer Gorilla 2 was like Donkey Kong Jr., Killer Gorilla 3 was whatever the next one was, that Donkey Kong 2 at the arcade.
I don't know.
Whatever the next one was, but I remember there was 3 of them. And they were brilliant. So literally exactly the same as Donkey Kong. And you know, back in the days when you could get away with that. But yeah, I mean, they were brilliant. I loved them. And that was probably the first time. Was that? Oh no. Well, I did play Donkey Kong because I had the Game & Watch, because that's one of the first things I ever had as a kid. The orange Game & Watch, Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But I never played it at the arcade, you know, Donkey Kong. So that was really my first exposure to playing it in that way, was this Killer Gorilla, you know. Brilliant fun.
Well, there was one that Si mentioned just recently on a video, and I forget what he was playing it on. He can remind me in a minute. So you had the game Mr. Do. Only he was saying that Mr. Do was terrible on what he was playing it on, and he plays it, and then he shows you a clone of it, which is better, and that was Mr. E. And you could see the massive difference. What was that? BBC, was it? I don't know if it was or not. Si, if you're in the comments, mate, let me know.
Yeah, no, I haven't. It's not one I played.
The only one I can think of, Lee. Now you say what you guys have said is the Gianni sisters. I remember that. Gianni sisters. That's the only one I remember now.
Yeah,
that was basically
blatant rip off of Mario.
Yeah.
And I remember that. Other than that, I don't. It's all new.
I had that on the Amiga, but it started on the Commodore 64, didn't it?
Right. Okay.
Yes. It did. Yeah.
That's
I mean that was a blatant rip off, though, wasn't it? I mean, you know, the blocks and it just, you know, and they could turn around with a straight face and go, "No, we didn't copy Mario." Like, you know, you can't, can you?
It was pretty good though. You know,
it was.
Being a copy, it was all right.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, you know, in some cases, you find that. Hang on, Steve Mahoney's just put it was the BBC, so Steve must have watched the video.
Mahoney. When I think of Mahoney, I think of Steve
Police Academy.
Who played Mahoney in Police Academy.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Yeah. As I was saying, a lot of the time, well, not all the time, but you do find that some of these clones are actually better because they come out afterwards.
Yes.
So they've improved some of these little quirks or problems, you know. I mean, there's a few I've got here. Now, I wouldn't say this one's a good example. Mr. Wimpy, which was out on the Commodore 64. That was basically a Burger Time clone.
Right.
And no, it's not very good. it's not. But at least they tried something different, because it's not just the Burger Time levels. You've got a bit in between where you've got like a pen, and you've got to get the hand across the other side of the screen and then get something and then take it back before you can then go and do the Burger Times type of levels. So it is a little different, but in my opinion, just play Burger Time. Like, you know, I might actually have to do a video on it just to show people it, because it probably sounds better the way I'm explaining it, but it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
So there's that. But the other one for C64, and I thought I'd jot this down because this is a homebrew game, and that is a Chaos Generator, which is basically like a Pac-Man clone, where you've got to go around and collect. I think it's music, if I remember right. I think it's music you're collecting. But that obviously looks, because it's a homebrew and it's come out in the last few years, it looks amazing to look at. Would I say it's better than Pac-Man? Not necessarily. I mean, C64 version of Pac-Man was pretty good already. So, but yeah, that's a recent clone I could think of. But yeah, I mean, really, they're the ones I jotted down. I mean, when it comes to Spectrum, I don't know enough about Spectrum games to really know what a good clone is. So, but I mean, you know, Scott's already listed a few anyway. So I did play one recently, which was a homebrew. I think it's done by Bum Fun Gaming, and I know it's such a dodgy name, isn't it? They really need to change that. Sounds like something completely different. But he had some sort of con game on there. But the twist on it is that you're not shooting Kong. You've got to shoot the planes that are attacking him, so that Kong can get further up the building.
Oh, cool.
Because if they keep hitting him, then he falls, and you have to try and get him back up there again. You know, so different take, different spin on it, and I thought that was an interesting way of doing it. I forget what he said that was called, but it was a Kong game of some sort. Problem is, it's Bum Fun Gaming, and you have to order from Spain. And if you order one game, which I think's about $10.99, you pay about £9 to get it sent here. So you pay nearly the price of the game to get it sent. So you wouldn't want to buy anything unless you're buying a few games from them, which is why I don't really buy from them, if I'm honest. But yeah, I thought that was quite an interesting take on the game.
There's this guy called Richard. I think his name's Richard Broadhurst, and I met him actually. What's that little con called? Shit, my brain's just gone blank. I do know the name of it. You know, the one that's run by Craig Turner. The convention that's run by Craig Turner. I don't
Not
know.
Revival or one of them ones.
Revival, yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
So I met this Richard guy at Revival, and he makes like over the past X amount of years, he's been porting all the original arcade games to the BBC, but like arcade perfect.
Right.
So there's a lot of the old classic. Yeah, and Steve's comment there, that's enough reason not to give him any money. I'm not going to say any more on that. Yeah, anyway, this guy he just ports these arcade perfect games to the BBC recently, and they're absolutely amazing. You can find them online. I think they're free. He distributes them freely. Really good.
Interesting. Right. Let's have a look. What we got on here. Okay, right. Now this one. So I've got some notes here. That's what I'm looking at. Try and find it now. Where's it gone? I can't find the banner I'm looking for. There it is. What was your first game purchase for your micro? This one's probably quite simple for you, Lee, because it'd be really recent, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I got my first one. I think it was this one, or was it Man Cave? Because Man Cave come afterwards. This one I got first, which was Organism.
Oh, Organism, yeah. Cytronic game.
Yeah, which is then that's a disc because I've never shown this, so I'm going to just.
Oh, here we go.
No, I've never shown this, so I've got my Commodore disc drive. I've never shown that before. That's the exclusive.
Bollocks! You never shown it. I've seen that before. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was going to say. Even Pete knows.
So no, I got that, and because I like the boxes of the disc ones, like these are really nice, and it's all the detail that you get on, like even the disc has got like a little it's really cool. So obviously Martin was playing this game, and this is really nice little game, very Alien-esque, like very like even for an 8-bit game, you actually get a little bit atmospheric where you get a bit scared, if you want to say that, playing it, because it's when the aliens come around, they look just like fucking aliens, exactly like an alien xenomorph. Like there's no other way up. They ripped them straight off, didn't they? But that was, I think that was my first homebrew game I bought. And then
I think it was because I remember you mentioning it. I'm sure you're right.
And then I bought Man Cave when you mentioned it, which I've got.
Which
And then
is a
I've
cracking
that's
game.
over. Yeah, that's an awesome game. And then
Yeah.
this is probably my favourite, the Guns and Ghost one.
Yeah. See, I need to get a physical copy of that because I've been trying to play it on the Mini, and for some reason it plays really fast on the Mini.
Yeah,
It's
I remember you
impossible to
saying
play.
that. I remember you
Yeah.
saying that. This
It's
is
like
really
it's
good,
running
man.
in
The
60
music.
hertz, I think.
See, they've even ripped off, if you look really good, the two people is Dean and Sam Winchester from Supernatural.
Yeah.
That's the actual front cover from the first series of the TV show. That's really good. Like the music, that's a really good one. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's a few others.
I mean, what I've played of it, like I say, it does seem like a good game, but unfortunately,
it's good. It's really nice.
So...
It's really nice. It gets harder. Does get harder.
This is Rach's famous trips to Chester, because I only just discovered her channel the other day. Funnily enough, it's a shame she's not on, but
yes.
She was saying she did this video just chatting about kind of growing up in games, and it was really passionate and really a great video. And she was saying that she would go to Chester and kind of, the draw was that you could go to the shops and there was walls of tapes and discs and stuff, and it was kind of a magical kind of memory for her, and that was nice to hear,
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, Pete. I've got no nostalgia really. You guys have, and like I said this before when Lee had me on back in May, and I said it's nice to see where we've come from, sort of thing. And I know these are new games, but they're old looking, so you can kind of get the gist of it. And then playing like RoboCop and some of the older games on the C64, you can see they're pretty cool, very endearing, should we say.
Yeah, it is a shame that Rach isn't on, because I do really enjoy watching Rach's videos. What I like with Rach is there's no bells and whistles with Rach, is there?
Yeah.
Like when she's playing a game and she starts dying, it's like all the words under the sun come out, don't there? There's no like holding back at all, and you know that what she's feeling or what's coming across is exactly how she feels at the time. There's no fakeness there.
I have to watch with subtitles, but regardless, bless her. No. It's and she's got real nostalgia. Same as you, Lee. Same as you, Pete. Same as Hobby Lodge, Martin. Same as Scott and Paul and Cy and Alex. You can like when they've been on Retro Bear, you've all got nostalgia for it, and and me coming into it now. I mean, with my if you think about it retrospectively, we're in 2022. You can pick up all three consoles within reason. Systems. Fuck, sorry. You can pick up all three systems for probably under 300 quid. Like all three, like a CPC, a Spectrum, and a Commodore 64. Within reason, you can probably micros. They're a bit more money, but regardless, you can pick up a couple of 8-bit systems for not a lot of money, really. I say not a lot of money, but it's still money to people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's why I wanted to pick this particular topic, because I think with this topic, there is nostalgia. There are memories. I know there is attached to my one, definitely. Pete, do you remember your first game purchase from Micro?
I remember my first and only.
Oh, okay.
And it was not long ago.
Oh, really?
I've only ever bought one, because I never owned Micros in the day, so I never bought any games, obviously.
Yeah.
And I own the BBC, but it's got a SD card in. But when I got the BBC, I kind of had it in my head that I was going to get some floppy games for nostalgia. And I bought one, and I instantly regretted it. And I'm like, I don't need floppies. Fuck that off, right? But I still have that one that I bought. Where is it? So
I'm
that
surprised
this,
at how quick you found that.
no, I,
Yeah.
I know where everything is. So
You're better than me, mate.
I-
I wouldn't remember.
I understand.
Oh, hang on. Have we lost Pete?
It's the 2 Lee show.
Yeah, I think we lost Pete.
Yeah.
We've lost Pete. Oh,
There he
we've
is.
got movement. No,
It's always when it gets to a juicy bit. Have you
I
noticed
know,
that?
innit? It's about to show
Yeah.
like
Just
something
about give us a story and then bang.
like agony on the Amiga, something real tasty.
Yeah. Hang on, let's give him a sec, see if we can.
Yeah.
I'm guessing his
He must live
internet's
near. He must
dropping
live near Rach. I know he doesn't, but he must live. He must have the same internet as Rach. Bless her.
I'll tell you what makes me laugh. I mean, like my internet, I've got the 200 megabytes with Virgin, but at times you wouldn't think it was, because even I get these problems where it drops out, and you really shouldn't at that point, you know. Yeah.
With streams, I don't get it too bad. I get it. Well, I get it a lot with Lee, which really does me head in. Is when I'm watching Amazon Prime or Disney or Netflix or whatever animation, I get
Disney's
buffering.
the worst.
I get buffering, and I'm thinking, mate, with 2022, there's no such word as buffer anymore. You know,
Disney's the worst because it's all 4K.
Disney
isn't
is.
it?
Yeah, Disney is. Oh, we've
Well,
right. Well, fuck him. We've lost him. So
yeah, he'll be back in a minute, I imagine.
Well, what's yours then, Lee? Because obviously you go way back when it comes to this, mate.
So my one's got a bit of a story to it, like most of them have. Oh, hang on. I think Pete's back. There we go. Pete's back.
Was that
What
What was that?
Was that my end that did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You were like this.
No, yeah, that's weird because my internet's normally bulletproof, man. I don't know what was going on there. Yeah.
What
sorry.
What game is it, mate? We were waiting, anticipating.
Oh, yeah, it's these compilations you come out on the BBC. They're called Play It Again, Sam.
Oh, okay.
And so later in the 80s, they put like some of the best games together, and there's at least 15 of these. So
wow.
It was packs of 4 games, and my mate Ali, who had the BBC, he had loads of these, and this one in particular he had Play It Again, Sam 3. So it's got Commando on, which is a port of the arcade game Commando.
Mm-hmm.
Palace of Magic, which is a brilliant kind of single screen platformy / explorer castle kind of thing, kind of like Castle Quest kind of thing. Then there's Killer Gorilla on there, which I already mentioned is the is the clone. So like, and then there's Killer Gorilla 2. So they weren't just they weren't just like flagrantly ripping off Donkey Kong. They were releasing them, and they were then re-releasing them on these compilations, which is hilarious. So
that's on the BBC Micro, did you say?
This is BBC Micro, yeah, but that is 4 amazing games.
Wow.
All in one. One.
I have to check them out afterwards.
And they come and they're like 2 games to a floppy, so you'd get 2 floppies in each pack, basically. So, yeah. But that's the only kind of 8-bit micro thing I've ever bought because I've not needed to, you know.
And can I ask, was that pricey or was that a reasonable price you got?
Yeah, it was like between 15 and 20 quid.
Oh, that's not too
bad. They just don't come up, and they're like really expensive.
I mean, like if you bought a homebrew on floppy like you do, they're what from Cytronic, they're like what 15 quid. So it's not too bad for 4 games.
Yeah, I think they're like this. These are the Premier Plus edition,
premium, aren't they? So they're like
the
15
box,
quid, I think.
And obviously they all. I mean, I don't know if you have to pick up as good, but they're all like they've got the names of the games and then the number of it and all that. So it's like a collection thing in it again.
Yeah,
I think they're like 15 quid. Some are 20, depending. But the £20 ones have got a bit more stuff. You get like art cards and stickers and whatever. Like
they do like big box editions as well, don't they?
Because I bought that. I always forget the bloody name. Hawksmere.
Shadow over Hawksmill.
Yes, I bought that. I've not played it yet, and I'm pretty sure that's in a bigger box. I think that's in a bigger box, like compared to this anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like my first purchase has got a bit of a story, like most of mine normally have. So what happened was a lot of my games when I got it, because it was, I've gone through this story before. My Commodore 64 was hot, Pete. Basically, I bought it off of a friend's dad, and it was obvious later in life to me that he'd nicked it. so I had a lot of what you'd call backup discs, loads of games, and it wasn't until the new games started coming out that then it was like, right, I've got to get a tape deck because I won't be able to play a lot of these games because they weren't so easy to find on disc. And one of the first tapes I bought, I was in Brighton with my mum and my brother, and we wandered into a computer shop, and I bought International Karate. I'm certain this is the first one I bought. I'm sure it is. And basically, I bought it, and this is the thing, right? If you're in another area and it's a tape for an 8-bit micro, you probably shouldn't do that, because then if it doesn't work, you're stuck with it. You know, this is not the days of the internet where you could just drop an email and post it back, you know. And that's exactly what happened. I got stuck with this game, and I was really annoyed because it took some of my pocket money. You know, I couldn't buy anything else. That was the game for that time, and it didn't work. So anyway, what happens is a week or two later, I'm in Gravesend. I go wandering into the town, and we had a shop called Software Plus. Right, it was right next door to Woolworths, which was pretty good because you could get games in Software Plus. You could also get them from Woolworths. So sometimes you could go between the two shops and see which one was cheaper, right? And I happened to go into Software Plus, and I spotted International Karate, and then a light bulb moment, you know. It was like, I wonder if I buy that and get a receipt and take it home, can I then swap it for the other one, go back and get a refund? And that's exactly what I did.
Well done, boy. Well done.
Ripping off a small business, yeah. Lovely.
I won't see Lee tomorrow. It'd be on Crime Watch.
Yeah.
Big 8-bit micro ringleader.
Let's just say I wasn't an angel back then. So
I'm sure none of us
were, mate.
None of us were back then, mate. I've regrettably I've done much worse in my youth. So.
I bet I have too. But yeah, I mean, that was probably the start of a slippery slope, I'd say. But yeah, and yeah, it worked. I remember though going in there, and the guy was kind of quizzing me a bit, you know, and I was lucky because International Karate come out with several different covers, and luckily the one that they had was exactly the same as the one I'd got from Brighton. So that worked out really well because there were a few variants. There was some that had the black cover, which was what I had, and I'm sure there was one that had like a silver cover, maybe, or a red, one of the two. So yeah, it was quite lucky. It worked in my favour. But I remember, like, when I took it back, you had to fill out like one of these sort of refund forms, and he was proper quizzing me. He was, and so the whole time I'm sort of sweating, thinking he knows, you know, while I'm filling this thing out. Because I was only, probably about 10 at the time. So at that age, you're sweating a bit, aren't you? You're like, he knows I'm lying. Like, you know, so. But no, I got my money back, so I was no worse off, you know. So at the end of the day, he probably wouldn't have lost any money anyway. He probably would have sent that back and got his money back on it anyway. So.
Maybe.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Shall we move into our last bit? I always like to do this on every stream. And that is talk about homebrew. And I like to just talk about homebrew in general because, you know, there's constantly new games coming out. I also like to get people's thoughts on it, you know, what they think of homebrew. Is it something they're into? Is it something they're not? So on and so forth. Like anything new you might have picked up. Lee, anything homebrew you've picked up or anything that's coming out that you're interested in? Or
I've just pre-ordered a game for the Sega Mega Drive. That I've been sharing it a little bit. It's Life on Mars. Looks awesome. Looks really, really good. Cross between it's a Metroidvania game, but graphically it looks pretty cool. It's on the Mega Drive, yeah. But you know me, Lee, Mummy Demastered is still my favourite homebrew game of all
Yeah.
time. Cytronic stuff, I've kind of held back a little bit because trying to get home stuff sorted out, especially like the games room done. So, but
Yeah.
once I've got that back up and running, everything's all kind of in the right direction. I will be buying some more Cytronic stuff. There's a few more I see. There was that one that the helicopter one that Martin was playing. I can't like it looked like Desert Strike,
Oh.
Jungle Strike.
Yes, I know what one you mean because it was the one
It
he
looked
kept
very
getting
good.
the name wrong. Oh,
can't remember.
yeah, I know. While you're talking, I'll look it up. I know what one you
that-
mean because he got the name wrong, didn't he?
Yeah, do
Kept
you
saying it
remember?
wrong.
It was like he was calling it something, but that looked pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a few others on there I'm looking at for the Commodore, but then obviously I would like to get a couple for the CPC just to see what they play like on
You've
there.
got to get relentless. You got to get relentless.
Relentless. Okay.
Yeah,
There's
that's
a few.
a
I've got to
shooter.
give. I mean, this is not homebrew, but Rach has got some stuff she wanted to send for the 464 for the Amstrad. So, but yeah, I'll be looking at Cytronic a bit more once I get settled. But yeah, Life on Mars. I can't remember how much I pay for that now. 30, 40 quid. I can't remember
Probably
that.
a pricey one if it's a Mega Drive title.
Yeah, because you get to pick the cover, and I've got this. This is my little thing about it. You know, this is how my brain works. Because it's a new game, I have to get it with the blue spine because blue spine's for the later games. But then some people get the you know, the classic white and the black with the white lines on it, which feels wrong to me because it's a new game, so it should be a blue spine. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But that's
I
just
get
me, my little head.
Well, quite a lot of them now, especially on the Mega Drive, they have reversible, so you can kind of choose.
Because there's the Japanese one, the blue spine, the original one, but I prefer the blue spines. Relentless. I prefer the blue spines on a newer game because I bought that the Dragon one off Alex. Alex got like 3 copies of I can't remember which bloody called. It's from the same company that made Life on Mars.
Metal Dragon.
Yes, and I think Alex sold me that with the original style Mega Drive inlay. I haven't opened it.
I'm trying to think what mine is. But it is reversible. I know it is reversible.
Oh, cool. Because I haven't even played it yet, Pete. I bought it off him. He got a couple of copies. He bought one and they sent him 3 copies or something stupid.
I found that game's Aviator.
Yeah, that was it. And
he kept calling it Avatar.
Like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is my copy of Metal Dragon. So I've got the classic, but the reverse is the blue spine one.
Oh, cool. Because I know that sounds silly, Pete, but that's what I think. If it's a new game, it's got to be a blue spine.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
You know, so that's cool. I have to turn it over then. Yes, chef.
Yeah. Have you played the demo then of Life on Mars?
No, I haven't yet. I've watched a couple of vids on it. It looks good. I mean, it plays very similar to obviously Metroid and obviously Mummy Demastered, which is one of my favorite homebrews. But it looks awesome. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's on my list to do a video on, and what's the other Mega Drive one coming out? What is the other one?
There's a few because I missed out on the one I think you talked about. It's only Mike Retro Gamer Boy. The one with the sword, I can't think which, like Castlevania kind of style one.
Yeah, let me look on my Twitter because they messaged me. PSCD Games, they're called.
Yes.
Black Jewel Reborn, it's called.
Right. They got some real nice games, man.
Yeah. So I need to do a video on that. They've got a demo, and then I think I asked Kai Magazine Software if they had any copies of what's it called?
Life on Mars.
Yeah, but they don't yet for a few months. But there's a demo, and there's like a press kit with like spiel and images and stuff. But that's all.
It looks cool. I do like them. That's why I like the homebrews, Pete, because it's like they're pushing the system to its full potential. I think that in my little head anyway. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's my favorite thing about this hobby at the moment is the homebrews, and I don't really get into many systems because there's so much.
Yeah.
But I do a bit of Dreamcast, and I pretty much, favor Mega Drive. I always get the Mega Drive ones.
Yes.
And Vectrex. They're some amazing Vectrex homebrew.
I've got a few Dreamcast games, but they're not. When I see the they're homebrews, but they're ports of. So like I've got
like Magic Pockets and that.
Yeah,
I've got
like
Another
I've got
World.
I've got
like
Double
that.
Dragon, on the Dreamcast, but I think it's
it's just running on MAME for all.
Yeah, and I've got Ninja Commando, because after I saw Alex play on Neo Geo, I think it's Ninja Commando.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of them ones, and like they're not homebrews.
No, they're literally just ROMs running on emulators.
But obviously, I've got them on the Dreamcast. Those ones. There's a few others as well. But yeah, I love the Mega Drive. I think the Mega Drive ones are great. The Super NES ones, there's not as many. Well, I don't see as many. Obviously, Mummy D Masters, a few others, but there's not many compared to Mega Drive.
No.
Anything you picked up
on the Mega Drive lately? No, not really. I mean, Mega Drive stuff. That's it, really.
Do they do homebrew for the BBC?
Oh yeah, I think they probably do, but
yeah,
I don't get involved in it really.
I know Sci-Fi's homebrew for some weird systems. I mean, I think he's bought one recently for the Mattel Aquarius, and they're doing homebrew for that. And that was a failed system, really, wasn't it? So it does make me wonder what's out on what. I mean, I've got a couple of bits here. This one I got from Sci when we met up at our Retro 5 weekend, and that is, I haven't played this yet, but I've seen Scott have a go at it while he was down there.
Look at that cover.
Subaquatic Deluxe.
Yeah.
I mean, this one, this is Phoenix Rare, which is basically an offshoot of Bitmap, but it's nothing too interesting, when you look at the tape. It's a pretty simple one. The inlay's quite nice as well. It's not quite card, but it's more of a stiffened paper, and you've got all the instructions and that. But one of the others I've got here, which I'll show you in a minute, this is definitely one I need to play. I haven't played it yet. This one I have played. Now this is Chronosoft, and this is the Mandarin. Now, Pete, you probably like this. Like, can you see any references there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Mandarin. It's even the same font, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, 100%. It's definitely the same font.
Brilliant.
Now, the good thing with this tape is one side you get Spectrum version, and then on the other side you get the Amstrad version.
Oh, nice.
Which I thought was pretty good. It's a little bit more expensive because Chronosoft are normally about £6 a game. I think this one was about £8, maybe £9. I forget. Comes on a nice, like, orangey colour tape.
Mandarin.
Basic label though, because Chronosoft do that. But if I show you the inlay on it, so there's your screenshots. I don't know how well you can see that, but one of them's Spectrum, and if you look at the Amstrad, you can see that the Amstrad one is far more superior, like the way it looks. It's really hard to show it on this camera, but it doesn't really do it justice. And then you've got like your instructions, etc. But yeah, that one. Now I've played that, and it's difficult. I'm going to say that, but there's loads of Star Wars references in this, Pete. It's like a platformer, and if I remember right, I think you get a limited amount of bullets as well, or laser bolts, whatever. It's not an easy game, but as you're going through, you see little R2D2s and probe droids, and things that look like look like stormtroopers. There's little references all over the place, and obviously your character looks like the Mandalorian, right? So, good game. Now this one, everybody knows this one, but of course I wasn't able to play it until I got a working Spectrum, and that is Redshift. Now this is Bitmap Soft. Got a lovely red tape as well, and I can report that this one worked because I know that some people have had a few problems with Bitmap Soft where games don't run. This one works straight off the bat. So, nice inlay. And this is a bit more sort of stiffened card, I don't think you can actually buy this now. Last time I looked, it's out of stock. But very good game. And it's a funny one, this one, because I'd actually say, because Man Cave used to be my favourite homebrew game. Now, people are going to be shocked now because I'm a C64 fan, right? But this is now my favourite homebrew game. This is a Spectrum game, so it's easily the best shooter I've played in a long time. And Spectrum's known for colour clash, right? But you don't really notice it much on this, the way they've done it. Like before, if you walked your character along, green and then pink, you could see it. Whereas with this, throughout the levels, it's kind of sectioned out into different colours. So yes, your ship does go from yellow to blue to red, but it's not all at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it plays.
Oh, so it goes from blue to red, like real red shift.
I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's you don't notice the color clash quite so much the way they've done it, and it's just like an arcade shooter. It's very responsive, very quick. It's really good, and the music. I never knew you could get music like this out of a Spectrum. You would easily, if you shut your eyes, you'd think you was playing a Commodore 64 game. It's really impressive. So yeah, it's a shame that they're out of stock, and it hasn't come back in for quite some time. I mean, I bought this a couple of months ago, and it's been out of stock the whole time. But they're really missing a trick with that, because this game would sell a lot if they got it back in. It's a really good game, and if you can get a download of it, I'm sure you can. If Paul's still in the chat, he'll probably let me know. I'm sure you can get a download of it, and if you can, and you have a way of playing it, just get it, because it's really good. I'd definitely recommend it. And so, to get a Spectrum, Lee, you need to get that.
I will.
Do these companies sell like the ROM only versions as well?
Some do, some don't. I'm trying to think which one of them does. I think Chronosoft maybe sell just the ROMs. I'm sure it is. I know that some do and some don't. Cytronic, when you buy the tape, you get a digital download. Right. So you do get that free. But you can't get a digital download separate. I'm sure Chronosoft is one of the ones where you can just get the download. Bitmap, you have to buy physical, if I remember rightly, and you don't always get a digital download. Some you do, some you don't. So, yeah, very good game, though. Like I say, I'm pretty certain you can get Redshift online as a download somewhere, because Skelly was playing it in hospital on a laptop, if I remember rightly. Is that right?
Yeah, he was.
He was, yeah. So you must be able to get it somewhere. And if you've got a way of playing it, just get it, because it's really good. You won't be disappointed. It's a good game. So people know how much I love Man Cave. So for me to say that's my favourite homebrew game, that's a lot. That means it's a good game, in my eyes anyway. What's Rach put? I remember the game we used to play in school where you had to colour in a magic cabbage, but you weren't allowed to have the same colour touching. Okay. That's random. Does Lou Nerdy Geezer have a Dreamcast and a Saturn? I do. I do have a Dreamcast and a Saturn. I got a Saturn for Christmas, if I remember right. And the Dreamcast was about 6 months before, I think. Used to play that DW, so I wondered if it was that.
Dragon World, is DW, I think.
Oh, right, okay. Someone's put, is it Granny's Garden? I'm guessing that's regards to the cabbage thing that I saw. No, it was after we'd finished GG. I seem to remember this was aimed at slightly older kids. The puzzles required a bit more thinking. Yeah, they're just having a chat. I don't know what they're talking about.
She's trying to remember the game with the colouring in of the cabbage. She thinks it might be Dragon World, but I don't remember that game, so I can't say one way or the other. But
Right. Okay. Well, we're coming up for the 2 hour mark.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like where we're at where we're at, go round and say what we got coming up, etc. Lee, what you got coming up?
Swap shop end of the month. I'm just trying to finalise one of the guests. He's in the middle, move some stuff around. I've got 4 of the other guys. If it all pans out, there'll be 1 second. I think there are going to be 4 new people. If I'm right, let me just look at the thumbnail that I've already produced, but I've not put out yet. There'll be 3 of them who will be virgins, which is a word we haven't used much on this channel. 3 of them are virgins.
And have any of them been on the shop before?
No, that's maybe. No. So they're all new to it. So that'd be cool. I have actually filmed 3 videos, Lee.
Really?
But I haven't. Yeah, I have, but I haven't put them up. Just I haven't had time, mate. Since I come back from holiday and straight back to work yesterday.
Yeah, you have been pretty busy, haven't you? Because you've been away on that. Yeah,
I've been away driving a lot. But I haven't actually put them up yet. I'm gonna. One's like a bit of an update vid about what's been going on, bits and pieces. One's a media pickups, but all the media I've picked up in the last few months, and then one's a bit of a gaming pickup, bits and pieces. And obviously we've got something else later, which you're probably going to allude to in a little bit.
Yep. I am gonna. Yep, that's right.
But thanks, mate. Really appreciate having me on, mate. It's really cool coming on. Really enjoy it. Thank you.
I love having you on here, mate. Same as like Paul, Si, Scott. Everyone that comes on. The thing is, the stream at the end of the day wouldn't be what it was if it weren't for the guests that come on. So if it's just me talking, it'd be crap. So you know, you can say it, mate. You can say it.
No, don't be silly.
Pete, what have you got coming up?
Shit all, mate.
I thought we lost him then. You froze up for a second, Pete.
Yeah, I've got nothing coming up. Did I? Yeah, I got nothing in the pipeline, man.
Nothing planned either, no?
Lazy. Nah, well, I got plans, but I interviewed someone who worked on worms and making worms.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do a making of worms, but I'm struggling getting hold of certain people that I was hoping to get hold of. So worst case scenario, I'll just go with that one interview.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but I'm kind of holding out at the moment.
Sounds interesting. I mean, Worms is quite an influential game when you think about it. I mean, it started.
Forward on many consoles.
Yeah,
many systems.
It's one of the most widely ported / sequeled games ever, along with Lemons, I thought it'd be an interesting one. And I don't know, I got little plans for stuff, and like we were talking about those Mega Drive demos. I want to kind of cover those, but it's just finding time and the will to do it at the moment. I'm struggling. I'm very busy, and I find in my spare time I'm reading comic books and stuff, and just lazing and watching films. You know what I'm saying? So it's
all good stuff, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All good stuff.
I'll get there eventually. But that's the beauty of this being a hobby and not a job. Is you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. There's no pressure for us to go, damn, that's my paycheck, I better start making a video. If I want to just not bother doing it for a few months, then that's my prerogative, isn't it? So we'll see what happens.
Speaking of
appreciate.
Speaking of you saying about watching films, have you watched Prey, the new Predator film?
I watched it last night, actually, funnily enough.
Without giving anything away, what did you think?
It's all right.
It's not bad, is it? I thought it was quite good.
It's all right. As films in that franchise go, it was good. Because obviously the first one's absolutely amazing. But it's been very, very ropey since, hasn't it?
Yes.
Very hit and miss. But I think, as it goes, very good.
What I liked
but-
about it was that they managed to make a strong female character who was compelling and wasn't woke.
Yes.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered if you'd watch that, because when you said you've been watching films, I thought, I wonder if he's watched Prey. Because, I was quite impressed with that, actually. I was pleasantly surprised, let's say. I was expecting a woke pile of trash. You know?
I think since lockdown, I've been watching like between 1 and 3 films every night.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah, just like every night when like the missus would go to bed and I'll just watch a film, or sometimes 2 or 3 films, you know.
It's funny because I've been doing that very same sort of thing with my youngest, because my missus would go to bed if she's got work the next day, and obviously I do night work, so I'm shift, you know. So what'll happen is I'll sit up with the boy until like say 2 a.m. We'll be watching a couple of films. So just before Prey come out, we was watching Predator 1 and Predator 2. So, you know, and it's good. I'm getting to watch these old films with Connor, and he loves them. He prefers the older stuff, you know. So, yeah, I've been doing something very similar to you in that respect. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, I've got to be honest, I haven't really got anything planned for my channel as such. I've kind of been having a couple of weeks off because, like I said to you guys before the stream started, Connor's off school. He's in here on the PS5, shouting down his headset. I can't do videos. And, you know, it's the time of year where you go away and all these sort of things. So it's been difficult to really try and do videos, you know. So basically what I'm going to go through is some things that people are doing. For example, Sai, he's doing a new edition of Let's Talk Retro, and that is on the 19th of August at 8 p.m. And that's a BattleBots special. So if you like watching robots killing each other, that's the stream for you. So I forget the name of the guy he's got on. I think it's something like the Drop Zone, maybe he's called. Someone who's heavy into all that, and Sai loves all this sort of stuff. So I'm sure it'll be a very interesting stream to watch. And it'll be very passionate as well, because I know that Sai loves his BattleBots, doesn't he, Lee? So yeah, so that's 19th of August, 8 p.m. Retro 5 stream, 24th of August at 8 p.m. That's on Paul's channel, Retrobait. And that's got guest Knots Gamer. So very special guest, Knots Gamer. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I like Rob. He's a good laugh. If any of you like Red Dwarf, you should check out Sai's last Let's Talk Retro. It was a Red Dwarf special with Rob, and I really enjoyed that because, let's be honest, Rob is a super fan, isn't he? He is.
Yeah, well, not as big as me, but yeah.
I like Red Dwarf too, but I think Rob's got to be a super fan.
He's up there, isn't he?
Me. He is, yeah. I mean, he even had that banner from a convention that was all signed.
I know.
You know? Yeah, that's another level, like that is. The other thing is the Retro Gamer Quiz on the 31st of August at 8 p.m. That's again on Retrobait's channel. Yeah, I don't know who's on that one. I can't remember because it's very different this year, and it all goes on a point scoring system, doesn't it? So it's not winner stays on. So I don't know who's on this one, but yeah, that's the 31st of August at 8 p.m. So
did you guys like his new intro?
Very nice.
Oh yeah, that was really good. Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny in it with his head like on the
and the funny faces he's pulling. Yeah, really good. I did enjoy that because Paul actually sent me like a preview of it before it went out, and he said, "What do you reckon on this?" And I looked at it, I was like, "That's really good." I was like, "Did you do that?" He's like, "No, Pete done it." I was like, "Ah, right, okay." Yeah, really good. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I should point out, actually, while you're in here, Pete, if anyone's wondering who did my intro on my channel, that was this gentleman right here. So
he done mine as well.
Yeah.
I actually need him. I need to speak to him about an intro just to slightly tweak it. No.
There we go. More work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just chuck me a WhatsApp.
2 minutes for Pete, for Christ's sake.
It is
Yeah.
amazing how quick you do them, though, Pete. I mean, I remember when you done my one. It was like I don't think it was that long. It was a few hours, and he's like, "Here, what do you reckon on this?" I was like, "Bloody hell, he's done it already!" Like,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
the problem I have is it's like, or not, it's not necessarily a problem, but like someone will say, I want this, and they give me a rough idea, and then I'll start like imagining stuff in my head, and then I just get
Yeah.
too excited imagining it, and I have to kind of start doing it. And then when
Yeah.
I start doing it, I just want to finish it. So then, like, sometimes I'll say to someone, "Oh, I'm busy for like a few weeks," and
Yeah.
then like literally 2 hours later, I've done it because I'm like, I get all excited.
Yeah. I get what you're saying because I suppose when it's like a little mini project, isn't it? And then when you show someone that you've done it for, and then they go, "Oh, that's really good!" Like, I suppose it's quite rewarding.
Yeah, of course.
In a lot of ways. I mean, my intro, I love my intro, and I get it all the time. People saying, you know, did you do that, or where did you get it? And sometimes I kind of think to myself, should I say it's Pete? Because otherwise, all these people are going to go rush into Pete for an intro, you know. So,
Not charge.
yeah.
Just say you made it.
The thing is, I can't.
No one's going to be any the wiser.
It's in my description. It says like
I made it on my Commodore 64.
Yeah. No, it's good what you do. Good work. I mean, yeah. The funny thing is, though, right, is that where you've done quite a few intros, like Paul's starting to do these now. Like he did our Retro 5 one, and where I started the second channel, NG Collectibles, I showed him a rough idea of something I wanted to do as the intro. And he said, "Oh, let me see what I can do." And he played around with it. And the intro I've got for that now was Paul who done that. So
Yeah, nice.
you've inspired people, Pete. You've inspired people. So
no, that's nice. And you know what? Anything I can do is very basic. Like I don't have any like training or skills on any of this stuff. It's just like playing around, and that's what Paul's been doing, just playing around, and you just learn it. You know.
Yeah.
It's not like we're doing like crazy After Effects 3D animated stuff. It's
No.
just like putting stuff on and moving them around, you know.
Yeah. Well, it looks good. No matter what you're doing, Pete, it looks good. So
cheers.
Right. Okay. So I think we'll wrap this one up here. But we've got a tradition on this channel. We've all got to do this dodgy game show wave like in the 80s. You know, like when you was in Play Your Cards Right. And there you go. Pete's even got the smile as well. That's what I like. Right. So let's get the outro.
Dun, 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 dun.